I actually resigned from my job without a plan of what I was gonna do. I was in banking and I kind of went, oh, this isn't for me anymore. And then on a day when I felt that way, I went, I'm out.
Saana Azzam, the revered Chief Inspiration Officer for Global Enterprises, is not only an international award-winning economist and Forbes contributor, but also the CEO of MENA Speakers, the Middle East's foremost speakers bureau.
Whilst you're figuring out what to do next, then my husband at the time would take care of me. So that was the arrangement that we had set up. But little did I know that within 2 weeks, I would leave my job and then leave my husband. Public speaking for me is a skill. It's something you learn, like driving a car, dancing tango, or playing football. It's a skill. And then why wouldn't I want to master a skill that I'm using every day? We don't have a big budget. Don't have a big budget. So I was like, what's your budget? It was like maybe 2,500 dirhams. For a student, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I go, oh, okay. Yeah, let me
So
check.
it was the
Sure.
first time you were paid for a speech, right?
As I stepped off that stage. And it was head down, just work through, try to figure everything out in parallel. And of course, every now and then I would have to park the car and just cry. And then keep trying, go to the next meeting. And then, okay, go to the next event in crutches. Hi, hand out your business cards. Oh, I don't like this logo. Let's change the logo. You know, so it was just like, it was on the fly. I was fixing the airplane as it was flying in parallel. And with God's grace, you know, alhamdulillah, we're going. We're alive, kicking. We're still going 8 years later.
Sana, are you ready to unleash?
I sure am.
It's a pleasure having you today. When I saw your amazing profile and I see the inspiration, I got intrigued to interview today. And when I always interview my guests here today, I always ask about a reason. And I want to know what's your reason for being an entrepreneur.
No. Okay.
It's not an easy question, huh?
So that's how we're kicking it off. The reason's been changing. So I've had entrepreneurship in my family since I was a very young person. You know, we've had to set up our own businesses coming to Sweden and as a way to integrate into society. So this is something I've seen around me through my family members, my parents, my siblings. So we've set up different businesses along the way, and with varied outcomes, both good and bad. But then when it came to MENA Speakers, of setting up the business 8 years ago in 2016 here in the UAE, the reason was it came from a passion and a need. And so the passion part came from the fact that I wanted to represent the Arab world, Middle East, North Africa, MENA Speakers, and showcase that there is a strong Renaissance movement with intellectuals, thought leaders from this part of the world, and to send them out. So not just to service this market, but to service it globally. And the reason being is that I worked as a speaker and out in Europe. So I was touring Europe as a speaker, and I was quite often, if not always, the only person that looked like this. Just like a little bit more tan than others, a little bit younger, and quite often the only female as well. So it was just a combination I wasn't very comfortable with, and it had me thinking, like, does knowledge only belong to one demographic? It doesn't. It belongs to all of us. So it was really important for me, and I was passionate about showcasing the Arab world and what's happening here, and let these voices be amplified. So that's the passion. And then the need, as I mentioned, I had an agency that was representing me in Northern Europe, but there was no agency here that wanted to represent me. There was no agency here that would deal with business speakers. So there was a clear gap. So it came from also my desire to have somebody to work with so I can do the things that I love doing, which is speaking from the stage. So there was a gap in the market, and I wanted to address that. So from both angles.
I know that starting a business is not easy one, right? And it's amazing idea when it comes on a paper. I want to understand, how did you take this idea and execute it? We are entrepreneurs, right?
The execution was, I wouldn't say it was linear. It was like this. And that's like in a day, you know? So then map that out over several months. I went into a sector where I had worked as a speaker, so basically as a supplier, but not as an agency. So I had to now learn the other side of the business. And I didn't have the contracts. I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a trade license. I didn't have a brochure. I didn't have anything. And I wasn't even sure what the transaction was going to be. Like, what margins do you work on? How do you price this?
Yeah.
I had so many questions. And the thing is that when I decided to do this, I was operating on instinct. I actually resigned from my job without a plan of what I was going to do. I was in banking and I kind of went, oh, this isn't for me anymore. And then on a day when I felt that way, I went, I'm out. So I resigned without a plan of what I was going to do.
No, but just wait here.
Yeah.
Please, before just don't jump into conclusion about jumping from a corporate. When you took this jump from a corporate, I always ask this question from the entrepreneurs that they left their corporate life and move into entrepreneurship. Did you plan it financially, or just it was emotional decision? I want to move from that.
There was no planning.
No planning.
Wasn't planning.
Would you mind if I ask you how many months that you would covered by financially based on your expenses at that time? I love this question.
I didn't have much of a runway. I didn't have much of a runway.
Then why? Why? Because if you are rational to take such a decision, it doesn't make sense. But what was the motive for you to take such a decision?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And the way that you're asking it is almost forcing me to answer something which I've never really spoken about before. And so at that point in time, I had just gotten married. And so we were discussing, let me leave my corporate and then let's look at potentially having a child. And in the meantime, whilst you're figuring out what to do next, then my husband at the time would take care of me. So that was the arrangement that we had set up. But little did I know that within 2 weeks, I would leave my job and then leave my husband. And
so that your safety net
gone. Yeah. So it was a bit of it was a mess. It was a mess. So I had nothing, and I'm in a country where at that point in time I didn't have family members. I didn't have anybody here so there was no plan B. So at that point in time, and it all happens within 2 weeks. And then the third week, my ACL snaps, so I can't even walk either. So I'm like on crutches. And around the third week, that's when I go, okay, but I have an idea. I want to execute this idea. I can barely walk. I don't know what my future has. I don't know what my future looks like. I have no runway. And if we talk runway, we're talking maybe 3 months. Yeah. So it was a do or die situation. And so I just had to swim.
How did you do it? How did you do it? Because 3 months for entrepreneurship, and when you rely on a safety net, let's say that I have a coverage in the back end of my mind, and then 1 second everything's happened. How did you have the motive and just getting over all of your fears that maybe I will fail, 3 months? What after 3 months? How did you overcome all of this self-narrative inside you?
Yeah. So it was a no thinking situation. It was a no feeling situation. That's what it was. It was just entering survival mode. I have to learn this really quickly, rapidly, on crutches, as I am licking my wounds from what's happening in my personal life, as I'm trying to learn a whole new sector from scratch. And what was so lovely was that the community, like I had friends that came together. So as this chaos and mayhem is happening, I get a call from a friend who lives in South Africa, and I had casually told him, hey, I'm thinking to do this MENA speakers thing. Speakers, and that's kind of how he makes sense of it. It's something with speakers events, you know. I go, yeah. So he calls me and he says, hey, you're doing the speakers events thing, right? I go, yeah. He goes, great. So I have His Excellency President of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, coming to Dubai. Would you like to set up an event or something for him? I go, great. Yes. of course, I can do it. I can do it, no problem. It's fine. Okay, great. So he's showing up in a couple of days. Figure it out. Okay, super. Hangs up, and I go, God, thank you.
It's a message.
Thank you. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was looking for a sign. This is the sign. I'm gonna figure this out. And then with crutches, running all over town, making calls, just trying to connect with people left, right, and center to make sure that the president of South Africa, so he was the second president after Nelson Mandela, so he was the ex-president at the point in time, showing up to Dubai, is going to have a lovely soiree with VIPs, and this is just going to happen no matter how it's going to happen. Yes, so worked day and night to figure it out. But I knew that was the sign I was looking for, and I could feel it in my body. And I was like, okay, I might not have a lot of answers, but I know I'm on the right track. So just operating on that instinct. And then it was head down, just work through, try to figure everything out in parallel. And of course, every now and then I would have to park the car and just cry. And then, keep trying, go to the next meeting. And then, okay, go to the next event in crutches. Hi, hand out your business cards. Oh, I don't like this logo. Let's change the logo. So there's just like, it was on the fly. I was fixing the airplane as it was flying in parallel. And with God's grace, alhamdulillah,
MashaAllah.
We're going. We're alive, kicking. We're still going 8 years later.
MashaAllah. This is very inspirational. And the question that, how did you find your passion in speaking? How did you find it? When did you find this passion?
I think the passion found me.
Is it by choice or chance?
Choice or chance? I do believe you always have free will. So, but it genuinely, it found me. It wasn't something I ever thought in a million years. When young people are thinking about their futures, I don't think they're saying like, I'm going to be a speaker. My generation, we didn't have that. It wasn't a career you're going to do. So I was an economist in Sweden, and I'd won this award, Female Economist of the Year. Wow. In that, I got a lot of recognition in the press, which was wonderful. But as that happens, you often get the call from event organizers saying, hey, I read about you. Do you want to come and speak at my conference? And this was in my 20s. So I went, yeah, sounds cool. Let's do it. Why not? And I rocked up to this conference. And this is when it dawns on me. Oh, my gosh. I need to do a good job here. There are so many eyeballs on me. And this is a professional setting. And I was, whoa, So I had written down what I wanted to say. And I knew what I wanted to say roughly. But the shock of that stage was...
How many people at that time?
I can't remember. It might have been like a 200-person auditorium. Wow. So it was a nice, significant conference. I step on stage, and the light in my face, and the people staring at me, and manage the mic at the same time. And I don't remember the first couple of minutes of that event at all. I totally blanked out. My knees were shaking. My mouth was dry. But I was talking. So when I start coming back, like the blood's flowing back into my head, I go, my mouth is moving.
But what I'm saying.
yeah. This is working out. I go, oh, cool. And then I started kind of jamming and vibing with this. So I did that speech. I step off stage, and then somebody comes up and says, I love what you said. Can you do the same thing to our management?
Wow.
We don't have a big budget. Don't have a big budget. So I was like, what's your budget? It was like maybe 2,500 dirhams. For a student, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I go, oh, okay. Yeah, let me check.
So it was the first time you were paid for a speech, right?
As I stepped off that stage. That was the first time. I didn't even know that whole scenario happened. So I accepted that speech. And then I got in contact with an agency. And that kicked off a whole career where this 20-year-old is touring Northern Europe, traveling to different countries, speaking and getting paid handsomely for it. So I'm, whoa, okay.
This is a career?
This is a career. And then I started meeting other speakers, and then I started just understanding, oh, okay, this is something you can really do. Great. So I did that, but I didn't pursue it all the way as a full-time thing, because in my head I went, I've studied all these years. I have a master's in economics. I want to do something that's a bit more businessy. That was my best level of thinking, right? Even though if I had continued as speaker, I'd earn dramatically more for fewer hours. But still, I had this urge to go into something a bit more. I don't know what to call it, but I respected that a bit more at that point in time. So I went into banking and financial services.
That's amazing. I believe that before just thinking about this idea, you went for something called market experts, right? You had it before.
Experts marketing?
Expert marketing, yes.
Ah.
Was it before or after?
After.
After
It came,
MENA speakers?
Yes, it's something that's moving in parallel. They're incredibly synergistic. So experts market, exactly. Thank you for asking that. It's basically a directory. So what happened was I had been running MENA speakers for a couple of years, and I still constantly get calls from speakers that are like, "Hey, do you want to rep me?" And the team does as well, and we get emails and all of that. And unfortunately, so many times we have to say no, because a great expert that doesn't necessarily have the packaging of a speaker is a hard sell. So you can be a subject matter expert in whatever field, but if you don't have a good bio, headshots, that positioning as a speaker, it's really hard for an organization to approve and pay for you as a speaker.
Even if I speak good?
Even if you speak well, yes. It's hard because why? The decision-making process, it's not one person often that decides. It goes through a hierarchy. And so if the person, say the event planner or the HR manager is going to take it to the next person, that's going to take it to the next person, that you have to get yeses along the way. So if you don't have that packaging, you're a hard sell. Or we have the other way around where you have individuals that are packaged nicely, their personal brands are strong, but what they're talking about is weak. It's not interesting, there's no novelty, it's not fresh, it's regurgitated content from other people. And that's not interesting. You need to have both and the ability to communicate well. So those are the three things.
That's a great one. And I believe that you just an author for leading speakers book, right?
Yeah.
When was this idea came into your mind? And I believe also we are talking very authentically. What was your objective from that book?
Okay, so I got leading speakers published, and it took me about 2 years.
When was that exactly? Was it before?
It was with MENA speakers.
During it?
During, exactly. So I'd set up the business, and then it really is quite often a rite of passage for speakers to publish a book. And then I started looking into this sector, and it's also absolutely a lead magnet. It's a way, somebody expressed it really nicely, said it's a very big business card, to have it there.
Yes.
So I was really curious. And then I was curious about my capacity to write a book. So I spent, 2 years, solid 2 years trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I finally got it published, and it was fun. It was at the Sharjah Book Fair, and we were part of the Guinness World Record. So it was a big honor. It was so much fun to do it. And then I had it around for about 2 years on the market, and now I've actually recalled the book.
Why?
I don't have it out anymore.
What's the reason?
The reason is that I've become such an expert in the realm of public speaking, and like my level of knowledge is just so much more advanced that the book, when I wrote it at that point in time, was relevant for then, but I don't believe it's relevant for now. So the choice to recall it was there. It's just a business decision.
Was it at that time you were targeting specific personas or?
Youth, younger people, rookie speakers that are new in the field, etc. So it was to that demographic. But now my targeting and the way I'm moving is I'm really working with executives, CEOs. So it was just not aligned with my brand and where I'm heading. So I made the decision to recall it. And yes, it's not around anymore.
Are you having any plans to write another book?
No.
But why?
I don't. It wasn't. At that point, who knows what the future holds. But right now, I just didn't enjoy the experience that much. I thought I would enjoy it much more, but sitting and rereading a book 50 times, it's not fun. I didn't like it. So right now, my body's telling me that it's a no-go situation. It's nothing I'm planning to do. But who knows?
I love it. A question. When you launched your book at that time, you consider it as a lead magnet.
Yeah.
Did you have like a higher prospects or higher leads, and you converted them into your high ticket service from that book, or wasn't working well? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they had the same challenge. So
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
I appreciate the question, and you come from a branding background, right? So I wasn't that intentional in using it as a lead magnet. I gave it away as gifts. After a workshop, I would give it away. You know, so I wasn't really using it as a lead magnet online or anything like that. I just meant more like, you know, here's a gift. It's on your shelf. You'll think of me maybe if you read it and send me a message or something like that. I didn't measure any ROI around it. Yeah, so that's the short
Did
answer.
anyone from the people that you give it them as a gift, they came to you and asked you about your high ticket service, or?
Well, it was actually used at a university, actually, in a public speaking class at a university here in the UAE. And I found out after the fact. It showed up on social media, and so I called the person that was teaching it, a faculty member. And she was like, yeah, we've used this for our public speaking and rhetoric class. I was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, well, do you want to come and talk to the students? I was like, of course, I'd love to. So I did that, but that was such an honor. So it served its purpose. Well, now you're inspiring me. Who knows? Maybe there's another book coming out, you know?
But the world now is evolving. And I keep saying, yes, it's great to have a book published and you attract more leads. But now I think the evolution that's happening right now with the internet and with the meta. So I believe one of the best ways to bring a potential prospects is ebook. You don't need to invest too much time to have a bigger book and invest too much even effort to publish it. You can have like ebook. And I'm telling you this because I use this as a strategy to bring a potential prospects.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
And one of the things maybe I believe that most entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, they're doing this, is when you give like a book for free, and then you have a webinar.
Yeah,
and then
upsell.
you give values, a page on it, and then you convert on that. So I believe this is, again, it depends on the objective itself. But if you have an ebook strategy, bring right prospects, right messaging, move it. It's a way easier than just publishing a book, doing it, but it depends on the strategy itself.
Yeah, you know, I've seen this be successful with a lot of people, and I think it's a lovely strategy. And as an entrepreneur, you're gonna fire all cylinders. So we have given it a shot, but I don't think I did justice to it all the way. We found more success in other avenues, so we pursued that instead. But it's a solid marketing idea.
Yeah, it is. As an entrepreneur, how do you build rapport with your prospects, especially for the high tickets? Lovely
Okay.
question.
So here's the thing. I'm going to take a little bit of a longer journey around this. I like to use exclusion marketing. Actually, that's my preferred approach. And I'm talking on a human level. So the other day I was invited to a birthday party, and it was an acquaintance. It wasn't even a particularly close friend. Somebody I met recently come to my birthday party. I went, okay. And then when the birthday party was meant to start at 7:30, I thought, should I go? I don't want to go. I'm a bit tired. I'd rather just stay at home. And I said, let me give myself all the options and see if I end up going. Good. So I ordered a gift from online, like a happy birthday cake filled with sugar. And then when it arrived 30 minutes later, I was like, now invested in the idea. So I went, okay, at least let me show up and give this gift. Yeah, but I still don't really feel like it. What would make me feel good? So I went and looked in my wardrobe, and I found this fur purple jacket. It's very loud. But it made me feel good, so I put it on. I was like, okay, well, now I'm feeling good. I have a gift. I'm excited about this birthday party. Yeah. And then I show up at this private event, and I look around, and everyone is in beige or pastel, barefoot. There's a bonfire. It's very...
I can imagine
It's
this.
very calm. Everyone's almost whispering. It's like And I'm going, is this a bird? Like, what is this? You know, what's going on? And I come in with my purple jacket and my voice is a few decibels higher. Hi, everyone. I'm excited. I'm here to celebrate somebody. And then I go, oh, okay, maybe this is not appropriate. Yeah. So I dial it down a few notches. And then we sit around the fire and instead they're playing the guitar and chanting. And I was like, am I going to take it off? But I liked it. But I liked my jacket. And then I looked around and I thought, they probably don't like me. Like, I'm so odd right now in comparison to everyone else that I'm really sticking out. And then I look around and I'm like, but do I like them? Is this where I want to be? Am I here to impress them or are they going to impress me? What is this dynamic? Nothing's wrong with them. Nothing's wrong with me. We just might not be a good fit. So I spent a considerable amount of time really giving it a shot. And the small decibel speaking and the hi and the namastes and the very like cute thing, which I like, for myself. And it's something I'm interested in. But that crowd just wasn't my crowd, I think. And maybe I just wasn't their crowd. And that's okay. That's okay. So a lot of my business is now more about aligning. I do this. Aligning with the people that I want to work with, whose values correspond to mine. And, the value here is I accept everyone as they are. I love everyone as they are. And I would really love for people to accept me, purple jacket and everything. So that's just kind of where my marketing is at the moment. It's not about trying to bring everyone in. It's trying to bring the right people in that align with the work that I do, that want to do and pursue it the same way.
I want to ask you a hard question.
Okay.
Look, I don't want to assume this and it will not happen. But if you have like a situation where you need you are under financial burden, okay?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have some of the customers that maybe they are not aligned with your values. What you'll do?
I have come across this situation many times. There was a version of myself when I set up the business that didn't have the experience to say no, thank you. And the strength to say no, thank you. So I would rationalize, it's okay, bite the bullet. But what I learned over the years was bite the bullet is a soul-crushing experience. Okay, you might make money, but how much are you losing in your well-being and a good night's sleep? Because you're losing a lot of good night's sleep. And then quite often it doesn't work out to the level that you think is amazing. So if you have the opportunity to leave. If not, I understand it. Then you need to be really clear with your boundaries. Really clear. And this is the version of me now, where say I have an annoying client, which still happens, that are scope creeping. They want to do more. They want to pay less. They're not paying on time. They're being rude. They're not being nice to the team. This is when I pick up the phone and I have a very long conversation where I say, our intention is to always provide a great service. We are so dedicated to our calling and cause. How do you feel this is going? Is our collaboration going out? So to hear them out as an assessment call. And then I go, interesting. Well, here's my perspective. This is what happened. Exhibit A, you haven't paid on time. If we're going to continue working together, you have to pay on time or else we need to look at an exit. Second, I've heard complaints from the team that they are not being met with decency and respect. This is not our culture. If you wish to work with us, then we need you to adapt. And then I continue the conversation like that, highlighting all the things that have been grievances. And then we make a decision. You're welcome to work with me, but if you don't feel like this is a good fit, that's all right. I'll still love you, we'll still be friends. But this is our culture and this is what we want to achieve. And if they say no, then hug, ma salama. If they say yes, I go, fantastic.
Continue.
So then we're going to summarize what we've agreed on in an email. Yeah? Take it in writing and let's continue then with a commitment to succeed. All right? Great. Thank you. That's what I would do.
I love the power. It's amazing power.
Yeah. Professional with boundaries. And I don't like this concept, and I hear this a lot, but it's just business. This is just business. No, this is not just business. We do business human to human. I'm here because I like talking to you. I'm here because I respect you, and you're vice versa. And I do not expect it's business to trump this human decency and care and love for each other. At the end of the day, we live one life. And, you know, in that process, I'm not going to waste it on bad clients. And neither should you, neither should anyone. So either we calibrate and align, or thank you
We're
so
okay.
much. Yeah.
That's lovely. Sana, I believe that you have great experience in public speaking, and that's why we need to make use of this experience to inspire our audiences.
Okay.
So, can you tell me anybody that wants to start like public speaking? Can you give them like tips and tricks? How can they start and overcome the fear of speaking, public speaking?
So I don't even think we need to go the person that has fear. I actually think executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs, people that are pitching, get public speaking training. Just get training. You know, it's the one thing we're doing all the time. We're communicating. We're speaking publicly. This is a public speaking moment. All the time. Get it right. Like, upskill yourself. Why wouldn't you? This is something that will benefit your career, but your personal life too. You know, so learn the art form. Public speaking for me is a skill. It's something you learn, like driving a car, dancing tango, or playing football. It's a skill. And then why wouldn't I want to master a skill that I'm using every day?
We're speaking. Definitely, I'm speaking to you.
Exactly. So the shortest answer, before I used to be really nice and polite and say, like, go on YouTube and read books. Yeah, do those things too. Get a public speaking coach. Just go to somebody who's mastered this and get it down, you know, do it well for yourself. So we know that up to 93% of why careers stall, why people don't accelerate in their careers, is due to public speaking, communication skills. So you're telling me this isn't an investment that's worthwhile accelerating your career? I know firsthand. I started my career and I was often in a place where I was the youngest entry, yet still I'm the person representing the business on stage.
Because of your speaking ability.
Right. And so that the chairman, the exco, the very senior executives were made aware of who I was very quickly on the back of that. And so my career always accelerated in the corporate space, always, without fail. It became such a nice opportunity to showcase the executive presence, the ability to communicate, the ability to represent the company. And that's what it is.
Can you just a little bit of tricks? How can I, because I know you have great values. How can we just overcome these fears? Maybe I want to have like a coach, but can you crash these limiting beliefs just to think that I want a coach? How can you push me to get that way?
Okay, so knowledge is power. That's the antidote. Get informed, right? Get informed. So I actually almost never, so when I coach people, I never talk about this nerves, because by the time we are done, you know the whole process, right? So are you going to feel a little bit of nerves? Yes. It's the same as jumping into a car. If you don't know how to drive a car, you're not going to drive a car. But if you sit with somebody who's instructing you and telling you what to do, so even if you have the fear of driving prior, but by the time you've learned the tricks of driving a car, switching gears and all of that, okay, you might get nervous, but you're still going to be able to drive. You're not going to black out. You're still going to be there on the road driving. So it's knowledge is power. This is one. And then the one thing that absolutely surprises me over and over again is how rarely people watch themselves speak. You know?
Yeah.
How rarely does that happen? Which is again something we do all the time. Now, if I write a letter or a message or a book or an essay, I'm going to go back and read it. Do I want to edit it? Do I want to enhance it? But when I'm speaking, for some reason, very few people have ever been recorded and watching themselves just, how do I look like when I speak?
Because we are afraid to see the truth. It's not easy. Just not cut you, but I keep saying that camera is the only friend that will tell you the truth. But who has the gut to be in front of the camera and see the reality? It's not easy. Sometimes people, they try to avoid this because it shows them the reality and they are afraid. They either just see that it's easy for them to escape it. It's not easy, one.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I totally understand that. That's also life in a nutshell. With everything new, you're going to feel nervous. If you don't meet it, how are you going to grow? And it's such an easy thing. You can just stand in your room alone and just watch yourself. And you know what? You might really like watching that presenter. You might really like watching yourself and go, wow, I'm handsome. Wow, I sound good. Wow, I'm coherent. Look at that. My body language is awesome. To also validate what is good, because surely there is something good about that presenter. Yeah, so you might be up for a real treat if you do that exercise.
That's lovely. I want to also hear from you some tips and tricks. When you go on the stage and when you deliver a keynote speech, how do you memorize? Do you have any, because it's crazy, I've been facing this. Do you have any techniques that you're using it to inspire people and to move with your story framework to memorize it? Do you have something in the back end of your mind?
So, I mean, I get this question a lot.
Exactly. And I like this question.
The techniques, it's not even much of a technique that I use. So I use bullet points. None of my speeches, or very rarely, unless it gets incredibly technical, but very rarely do I write the full sentences. Sometimes I still do because I want to get it right. So let's keep that. But I write bullet points. I have 9 bullet points per speech. That's what I'm averaging, 9 bullet points. So either I remember the 9 bullet points, which is a reasonable thing to remember. If I don't, then I just write words, 9 bullet points. That's it. And it's totally fine to go and look at these and put it down and continue talking. So that's one way. And the other way is use the PowerPoint to prompt you. What's my next? And again, I don't use that many slides, and my slides are quite often clear, simple pictures, one words. But that will be the prompt of, oh, that's my next message. And then I challenge you to rehearse your speech, say more than 5 times. How often do you rehearse more than 5 times?
It's too much. Only 2 times.
So, and I'm throwing the number out there because observationally what I see is first time it gets a bit choppy, but it's still often quite fine. Second time it's improving. 3, 4, 5th, you have a solid idea of where you're going. You know, you're driving from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. You know that's the direction you're going. You're not doing this, so you know roughly what's going on. So by that time, you'd be able to provide the main messages.
What is the main driver when I see someone on the stage who speak amazingly and someone who just deliver a speech that it doesn't touch me? What are those elements that make a speech memorable?
Yes.
Because I see many, they come on the stage and they just attach everything inside you.
Yeah.
And even for 1 second, you don't even open your mobile.
Yeah.
What is the secret to have it?
So there are different things. There are different moments that will make a speaker great. And I benchmark this. So I've been classically trained at different speaking houses. It got very technical and very structured. And the different houses will have different opinions on what applies and how to tell a story and what to do, what to structure and things like that. So as I said, it's a skill. So at some point you've done the very technical stuff and then you go, but I didn't like that. But what about doing that? What if I innovate that, right? So I started innovating in this space and developing my own tools and techniques based on what works. And I'm testing it on different stages. And, oh, this was good. This could be improved, stuff like that. But at the same time, because I had up a speaker agency, I'm watching speakers and I'm getting the feedback from the audiences. So one day I was like, what is it that makes this motivational speaker who is screaming, shouting, hyper, get amazing rating? And then this professor standing behind a podium, talking like this, and for some reason, getting amazing rating. And I go, according to my classical training, none of them would have had amazing rating because they're not as per the protocol, as per these different schools of thought. So I go, interesting. So I keep this in mind and I keep analyzing speakers. And it dawned on me, the one thing I can find as a common denominator is that they're being authentic. This a bit rigid professor behind the podium, that's just who he is. And he's in his passion, and that's the expression of his passion or her passion. At that point, it was a his. And that motivational speaker, that's how that person was. And so they're being so authentically themselves, it just looks different. And we as humans, we can pick up when somebody's being truthful, when they're in their truth, or when they're masking, when they're pretending to be somebody they're not, when they're being insincere. We have it built in. We can actually scan people on the body language and find out who's putting on a little show here. Or go, oh, I'm really safe here. This person is legit. They're being themselves. Beautiful. Let me lean into this. That's what it is.
Do you have a situation in your life like what you didn't prepare well, but you deliver a speech on the stage that touch people? The reason I'm asking you about that because I'm a big believer that, as you said, authenticity, it's contagious. And I see a lot of people, maybe they go on the stages, they prepare a lot, too much. And they have, by the way, inspiring words, but it doesn't touch my heart at all. And a lot of people, they come on the stage, they're not prepared a lot, but they speak from heart. And sometimes it touches you emotionally to an extent that it comes like a tears from you. So have you ever felt like that and just in a situation where you didn't prepare well, but you spoke from heart and it touched people?
Of course. I want to add one other version in the ones that you said, because you have the unplanned that's inspirational. You have the planned where it lands a bit, it doesn't land right. But you also have the professional speakers that have planned their speech and planned their inspiration, and they're intentional with their inspiration. So there is that formula too. It's the world isn't binary. I think a lot of people think that, either you're a good speaker or you're not. No, you can become an inspirational, transformational speaker. Just allow yourself to, get the training, speak your truth, be vulnerable, be open. It's a mix of things. But being intentional, that's a solid route and a solid option. Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, 100%. I like it. Have you ever trained people to go for TED Talks?
Yeah.
Can I know the secret behind it and how long people they are preparing for such talks? Because those talks are totally different than when you go on the stage and when you just deliver a presentation. I see that people, each word, it's calculated. Do you have any formats on the back end? Can you share it?
Yeah. I like it. So yes, I have. I've been part of structuring a few TED Talks over the years. And it's been a lot of fun because impact. So that's nice. And the thing with TED Talks is that you have 18 minutes to deliver that speech. And this is why words matter. Your delivery matters. An example, one of the speakers, Amanda Palmer, her TED Talk went viral. She rehearsed it. Well, she attributed her speech to 109 people, where she said thank you to 109 people, which means she's presented to at least 109, 105, or 100 plus people. So it depends. Some people just nail it. They have their story. They know their direction. They'll nail it really quickly. With others, we have to redraft and, this doesn't sound right, and maybe a different word and a different story. Let's do that. So there is an art form, and there is a formula, and we've seen that there are some videos that go viral, and there's research to why some videos go viral, covering a topic that has already been covered by other people. So they're covering the same topic, but for some reason, this one, in the millions, this one falls flat. So what is it? What is it that makes these go viral and not these? And the finding is that amongst a few things, they use hand gestures. They speak passionately. So the ones that are here, like the Simon Sinek's of the world, start with why. is a prime example. He used almost twice as many hands gestures over other people that have covered the same topic as him. Your purpose, your why, the reason. So the subject in itself isn't necessarily new. It's not. But the delivery style, that's really what brought it up. And then the way he did it.
If do you think that those speakers that went viral, if you have another speaking opportunity, they will say the same words in the same time, the same story, the same things? Exactly.
Could happen. Has happened. Has been done. Yes.
So you should memorize in such talks every and each word through a story. I would say that scripting it in your mind.
Well, for some, it's a performance. I'm not, so they're acutely aware that they're there to educate, entertain, inspire. So they take it that seriously, and it's performance. Same punchlines, same sound bites, etc. Yeah, we've had bookings on speeches from YouTube. Your speaker did this talk, and we have this talk. It's not super common, but it does happen because the speakers, they upgrade, they update, they want relevance, and the market wants relevance too. This is what makes them great, professionally recognized, paid speakers, right? So, but yeah, it does happen. Absolutely, it does happen, yeah.
So to prepare like a great talk, just that, how long will it take for a good preparation for these 18 minutes from your experience?
If you're preparing on your own or if you're preparing with a professional?
Let's say here and there. If it's my own firstly.
So I'll just, I'll give you the example. I had a client show up telling me that, in a few weeks I have a TED Talk coming up. It's okay, great. And we spent 3 hours. The talk was already very high caliber, very good, great content, great message. I was really happy with where we started. But obviously, this is my area of expertise. I will always be able to find something to tweak. This is, my life's work. Yeah. So we spent 3 hours tweaking, distilling, removing, editing a few things, quite a few things, and then done. The content is locked. This is it. This is the roadmap. Yeah, and she ended up delivering an amazing speech.
Wow. Does it take like a preparation 1 month, 2 months? Because I have heard like people, they're preparing like 2 months, 1 month for that talk. Does it make sense or?
It makes sense. I'll give you another example. So these days, I took a flight to Saudi and I had a speech in the morning, and I finished that speech over the flight in bullet point format. Yeah, and it took me maybe 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not about the duration. You're sitting on the content, and quite often it's about the structure for you, how to structure it. So I keep saying it's a skill. There's a format, there's a methodology that you can use, and you have several options of which methods to use. Yeah, so that it can take you a month if you're trying to navigate and you don't know if you don't have a roadmap, or you have a roadmap and you plug it in and you're done. So it's a very individual thing. I can't give you a duration that's specific.
If any one from our audience, they're trying to reach you, what is the best platform to reach you? Whether it's LinkedIn, I'm not sure. What is the best platform?
Yeah. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and on Instagram, and then the company website www.mina-speakers.com. You send it there, it's gonna land in my inbox.
That's amazing. Last question for entrepreneurs that they're listening to us.
Yeah.
I keep asking this question. If an entrepreneur, she or he, just trying to move forward, they have great ideas, they have great innovation, but for some certain reasons that it's not working. What is your advice to them?
There's something called the sunk cost fallacy. And we see it in business quite a lot, even in trading, where say somebody has bought a stock in the stock market, and the stock is now not doing particularly well. But they've been holding on to it for so long and they're seeing it, so it's costing you money. Cut your losses. If this is where you're at, make that calculated decision of cut your losses. Don't be attached to something for the sake of being attached. If you've tried it out and genuinely given it your all, you've asked for advice, you've checked around, and it's going, this isn't it. Cut your losses, move on. But if you have done everything and there's still some strategies to play, then go all in on playing every card. Quite often there is another road. So I see this level of thinking it's either or. No, quite often there is another road. If you set up a business, it's done quite well, but maybe it's not that well that you expect it to be. Maybe you can sell it. Maybe sell it to your staff. Maybe bring in new shareholders. There's often another road to take. So, explore all your options.
Saana, it's a pleasure having you today. Let me tell you that you have a very positive, contagious energy with your voice. What I wish you all the best. And I'm sure with your inspiration, you will leave a bigger and bigger impact.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Unleash is the bridge between my purpose and my mission. And my mission is unleashing the human greatness to its utmost potential.